All right, first question.
All right.
It's from Sadie, Clark's owner. She said, hey, I have a podcast / general question. My dad lives down in Florida and adopted a dog last year. He's a 3-year-old, 85-pound Great Dane pit mix and definitely has some issues. Leash reactivity, issues with other dogs, issues with other people, barking, jumping, etc. After Clark's training, my dad found what seemed to be a similar program close to him, a 10-day e-collar board and train. 10 days is real fucking short for a board and train.
Yeah.
Real short. We'll talk about that in a minute here. My dad dropped him off in the morning, and the trainer called that afternoon for him to come back and pick him up. They said he did great at first with the collar, but in the afternoon, he got irritated and aggressive. So they thought he was too stressed for the board and train, and that home lessons would be better. Personally, I think that is bullshit, and they just didn't know how to handle him. But I also know nothing, so I thought I'd ask for your opinion. The trainers have been out to his house for home lessons twice in 3 months. That's also ridiculous as well. There doesn't seem to be much guidance or support, and my dad seems really confused about what to do. Just comparing to Clark, his dog has zero structure in the house, almost never wore the e-collar, and I never saw correction despite him barking and growling at me and jumping on my dad and brother. They use the e-collar different, though. It's a neutral device, and the dog is stimulated on a low level when he does something wrong, but also when he does something right. I don't understand the logic of that, but grain of salt, since I'm just repeating what my dad said, and he was confused as well. I know you recently said to not seek out another trainer if you're seeing improvement, but I don't think there's been any improvement, and his dog seems to be doing some of the same behaviors Clark did before he started biting. I'm hoping my dad will just abandon this program now and drive him up to Cleveland, but I might be a little biased, both because you guys have been amazing with Clark, and since I had a bad experience with trainers taking a lot of money and not helping previously.
Oof. What a situation.
It is a situation. And here's the thing. This is what pisses me off, and this is why I talk about all the time. The dog training community is kind of bullshit sometimes.
Yeah.
Come on. Okay, listen. First off, let's go through and start listing the issues with this, right? First off, 10-day board and train. Get the fuck out of here. Especially if you're doing e-collar training. 10 days is such goddamn bullshit. Like that really pisses me off when I see stuff like this, right? The 1 week board and train, the 2 week board and train, stuff like that. Because here's the thing, right? Sure, maybe I could teach 1 or 2 things in 10 days, but I'm not going to be able to proof them to a fluent level. I'm not going to get a general overall approach on what's going on. And when you're dealing with a dog that's growling, biting, barking at people, stuff like that, we're not looking to just go in and address one thing. We need to address everything. We need to address the overall state of mind of the dog. And you're not going to be able to do that in 10 days. It's not going to happen. 2, the couple things you're going to need to teach, you leave yourself no wiggle room where if anything goes wrong, you're going to be able to adjust and like make it okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Which means that if things start going wrong, because you're going to be pressured where I have to get this done in 10 days, what you're going to do is you're going to wind up putting way too much pressure on the dog. You're going to stress the dog out more, and you're going to do things in like an improper way, what I would consider. Right?
Yeah.
2, let's see, going back through here. 10-day board and train, dropped him off in the afternoon, told him to come pick him up. He was getting aggressive and irritated. Of course he was. It's an aggressive dog that you're now starting to put structure and rules on. You should be prepared for that kind of stuff and know how to work through those things when they happen, right?
Yeah.
I have never in my life called somebody and said, hey, your dog's being really bad at this board and train program. I need you to come pick up your dog because I don't know what to do, right? Because here's what it is. You should know that that's how that works. When you're dealing with behavioral modification, because the root of the problem is the dog not liking having structure and rules, when you go to put structure and rules on the dog is not going to like it. The dog is going to push back.
Yeah.
Especially first 24 hours. First 24 hours, we'll see all sorts of different stressful behaviors and this and that, blah, blah, because that's a part of the acclimation process to the board and train program. And that's why we don't do 10-day programs to begin with.
Yep.
Second off, the fact that if you can't understand how to work through these things in a board and train format, you're not going to be able to work through these things in a one-on-one format, especially since in 2. Okay, so moving through here, right? Okay, so now they've only done 2 lessons in 3 months. That's ridiculous also.
Yeah.
And here's what probably happened. Now, again, I could be wrong. I'm sorry if I'm incorrect about this, and I'm not trying to berate this trainer specifically. This is generalized to all of these trainers out there that are doing work that they don't know what they're doing, essentially, right? So here's what probably happened. They signed the dog up for a 10-day program. They collected payment for it, whatever, $1,500, however much it cost, right? Hey, your dog's bad. We can't do it in a board and train. A one-on-one is going to be a better option, right? In actuality, the one-on-one is not the better option. They just can't do it in the board and train and need to have an alternative right now, right? They don't want to have to give the money back because they don't know what they're doing. So they're just like, oh, well, we'll just do one-on-one classes to help you. But because they actually don't know what they're doing, they're just like, yeah, we'll just kind of come out, and we'll come out one time and you still don't really know what you're doing, right? So the dog is still bad. And then they wait 3 months before they come out for the next one because they don't know what they're doing, right? And then it repeats the cycle. And then what happens is after 4 months of doing 2 one-on-one lessons, 5 months of doing 2 one-on-one lessons, the owner just chalks it up as a fail. And they're like, well, I lost my money. I didn't get anything at this point.
Yeah.
Right? This is the scummy part of the dog training industry, right? If you don't know how to help this owner with stuff, if you don't know how to help the owner with this kind of stuff, you need to just not do it, right?
Yeah.
Or you need to accept, this is not the right dog for our program. You could even say it that way. You don't even have to say, I don't know what I'm doing. This is not the right dog for our program. I'd love for you to find somebody that specializes in this stuff more. Here's your money back. Or listen, here's the thing. Here's a prorated rate back for the 3 days that your dog stayed with us. Right, sure. Take money for the 3 days if you want. And then you could chalk that up as a loss. And I would say that that's okay as well.
Yep.
Right? But don't just go in and be like,
try it.
let's just, we're just going to try to switch to these. Whatever. Owner's confused, obviously, because the trainer's not giving them any correct guidance. As far as the e-collar use, then, we start getting into it's used as a neutral device. The e-collar is not a neutral device. We've talked about this numerous times. The reason why the e-collar works is because it's something that the dog perceives as aversive, right? That is the only reason why it will ever work. It will never work another way.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not a neutral thing.
So we've talked about this before, the ways you use the e-collar. We have negative reinforcement, which is our continuous pressure, with the release of pressure, which is used for teaching. We are trying to increase the likelihood of a behavior, right? So we're teaching sit, we engage the e-collar, dog sits down, we release the e-collar. That release of pressure tells the dog that sit is correct. Keep doing that, right? Then we have positive punishment, which we implement a high-level correction in order to stop a behavior. So now they're using this neutral sensation for when the dog is doing something wrong and when the dog is doing something right. That's also very incorrect, unless they're trying to the dog's jumping, stim it, and when the dog stops jumping, release it, which would mean that you're teaching being on the ground, which is a whole nother conversation of getting into teaching alternative behaviors as a way to stop behaviors, which is virtually ineffective. Right? So we got all sorts of confusing things going on here. And when I read messages like this, like I said, just frustrates me because the first step of dog training is having your program laid out in a way that, one, it's going to be successful, and two, it's going to be able to explain things clearly to owners. Now, I'm not relinquishing all responsibility from Sadie's dad here. He may not have been listening or not understand the things that they told, but here's the thing. They also only did 2 sessions in 3 months.
Yeah.
So how is he supposed to understand any of this stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's...
When the dog probably has no idea still.
So I don't know. I mean, this stuff is frustrating.
Yeah.
Right? Because this happens all the time in the dog training world, and we get clients all the time that this happens to, right? This is why, like I said, when people come in, there are trainers out there that are like, this dog's been to 5 other trainers that couldn't help him, and we're the 17th trainer now working with this dog, and we're going to get it right. And it's like, listen, I'm glad that they're finding me, and I'm glad that I'm going to be able to stop that pattern and be able to help them out, in this type of situation. But, right, the fact that the person had to go through 5 different programs beforehand and had to pay 5 people money for something that they didn't get help with is a serious problem.
Yes.
Right? That is scammy. That is scummy. Right?
Yeah.
Listen, again, I'm not saying we've never worked with dogs before that they had limitations that we couldn't get them exactly where the owner wanted to, but we have always stood behind our work and provided every ounce of support that we can to make sure that we're helping as best as we can move those dogs in the right direction constantly, right? And that's all that I can say. I'm not saying we're the best out there, but I'm saying that we stand behind our work. Right. Yeah. And this clearly is not the case with these people. So, Sadie, sorry to hear about that. That's a rough situation to be in for your dad. So, if If he is interested in bringing the dog up to good old Cleveland, I'd be happy to discuss a plan for how we can make that successful, and I would be happy to discuss some options as far as how we can make this cost effective for him as well, since he's already had to do this with somebody else before. So let me know if you'd like to chat.
Either way, you can step on that trainer's toes.
Yeah.
Because, come on.
Oh, yeah. Because that was the root of the question, is if you're seeing progress, don't find another trainer. Yeah, this person is not seeing progress, right?
Zero.
Like I said, I think, and I could be wrong, that this trainer doesn't know what they're doing, and they're trying to kind of ease out of it without needing to give a refund.
Yes.
This is my question.